from my experience, I guess you all know this, but what I observed has sometimes been a learning process for people. 30 years ago, I led a delegation of German bookbinders to France. French publishers spend much less money on the books that they have printed for their customers than German publishers. The glue was all hot melt, whereas the Germans were still doing a lot with dispersion glues, cold glues. That's much more tedious to work with. The Germans do much more gold blocking on hardcovers and much more gilt edging, all that. So they walked out as the first factory and said to me on the bus that, well, there's no quality here. And I said, well, you are very mistaken. And at first they were upset. So the next bindery, I made sure to ask the works manager who was leading us around, says, make sure you point out all your quality assurance. And then they woke up to the fact that, yes, they were working with cheaper materials and they were working on lower budgets, but yet they had to do very, very particular quality assurance to keep their customers happy. So that, quality has nothing to do with beautiful. Quality is conformity. You have to be, in order to manufacture quality, what you have to be able to do is produce many, many products that are basically all the same. So which means that quality assurance is that's a process of compare every product to how the product should be, which is basically, that's the nature of measuring, right? Whenever you're measuring something, you are comparing to a reference. Which brings me to my second subject, and that is something that's so much easier to do than measuring, is counting. And I keep a sneaking suspicion that maybe counting is underrated. I'll relate an anecdote from my own personal life. When I was 20 years old, I worked in a huge machine factory in southern Germany as a trainee, and I was put into the quality assurance department of the machining department, where they were machining metal parts. And I was told to check those parts, measure those against drawings, but also to count all the jobs. Because I was new and I was very young, I did as told. And I counted all the jobs, and they were all off. And within a day, I had stopped so many jobs that no more jobs could come into the quality assurance. So basically, the machining department ground to a screeching halt. And so a big scandal arose. More men in suits than I thought worked in the factory descended onto the shop floor and tried to find out what was going on. And in fact, they hadn't counted jobs for a long time. So everyone had stopped bothering because it wasn't checked in the department themselves. No one really counted incoming raw material. No one counted jobs going out. And it also turned out that in the assembly departments, they had big problems because they always had missing parts. And it turned out that their inventory control was basically no more exist. So, and as I said, by coincidence, I became part of the scandal. So it has stayed with me.